Hi, friends. Welcome back to another episode. I just wanted to start off today by saying I apologize if I seem a little bit low energy. I am quite tired. I've been running around a lot lately, staying in places other than my own home because during the summer months, I am doing a lot of dog sitting here in Bermuda. And basically, it's like babysitting, but for dogs. So I stay in people's houses while they're on vacation and I take care of their dogs. And the great thing is that I can obviously continue working at the same time, teaching my English classes, but I can't really record my podcasts when I'm at these places because my setup with my microphone and my camera and everything is here at my apartment. So it's been a little bit tricky. And basically, whenever I am home, I have to batch film and record a lot of videos and podcasts all at the same time. So, yes, it's been a lot, but I'm still really enjoying the process. I love creating content. I just think I'm a little bit tired because, when you go to do these dog sits, you have to bring all of your stuff with you. And for me, that's like a lot of groceries, food. I always bring my yoga mat. Sometimes I even bring my ukulele if I feel like playing that while I'm there. So it's a lot of things to carry back and forth, load up the car and then go. And, it's fine when it's like a long dog sit. Some of them that I have are for like 2 weeks. But then my next one that I have in 2 days is only for 5 nights. So it's a lot of like packing and organizing for just 5 nights, but I can't complain. I get to hang out with dogs and I get paid to do it and I love it. So I cannot complain. Anyway, so that's just a little preface into why I might seem a little tired in probably the next few episodes because I'm going to try and film a few this afternoon. All right, so let's jump into our topic today. Today, I'm going to be talking about the top 10 common mistakes that ESL learners make, English as a second language learner. So, you know, none of these are like more common than others. These are just the top 10 that I could think of. If you can think of any other mistakes that might be good to mention in the comments or whatever, feel free. But, I just wanted to try and do the top 10. So I'm aiming with this video and this podcast to highlight the top 10 mistakes, um, tell you how you can avoid making them, how to fix the mistake. That would be helpful. And then hopefully by the end of the video, you will have a clearer understanding and some practical tips on how you can improve your English and improve on these mistakes if you do make the mistakes. Maybe some of the mistakes that I mentioned you don't have a problem with, and then others you find more relevant. So just take whatever information is useful for you. All right, so mistake number one is students using incorrect word order. So as you may or may not, be aware, English is an SVO language, subject, verb, object language. So, the syntax of, like simple sentences is subject, verb, object. So the mistake that I commonly hear is things like, she likes very much apples, instead of, she likes apples very much. So we need to place very much at the end of the sentence to make it sound more natural. And the reason why we do this is because we never want to separate our subject and our verb. We don't want to put something in between them. It just sounds weird to say she likes very much apples. We immediately want the object, apples, to come after the verb likes. So she likes apples, and then we can put in the quantifier how much, very much, or a lot. For example, I like chocolate a lot, not I like a lot chocolate. So we always want to make sure that we're putting our quantifiers and modifiers at the end. And the simple tip that I would give to you is when in doubt, think about what comes first in your native language and then rearrange it to fit into the English pattern. I would not recommend this for higher level students, but if you're kind of just starting out in English, try to think about like the structure in your language and then remember that in English it's different. So I learned Spanish as a second language, and I would always tell myself, like, okay, um, the adjective and the noun are the opposite of English. So, for example, el gato negro, the cat black. But obviously in English, we say the black cat. So I would always just tell myself, whatever it is in English, when it comes to adjective and noun placement, it's opposite in Spanish. So we always put the adjective before the noun instead of after. Sorry, other way around. My brain hurts. Okay. Mistake number two is using the wrong prepositions. Now, I think that I'm actually going to do a full episode on prepositions because they are really complicated in English and very confusing for a lot of students, very problematic for a lot of us. So, like this is just really quickly touching on this, but we have this issue of using the wrong prepositions like in, on, at. That's what I'm talking about. So prepositions can be tricky because they don't always translate directly from your native language. So you really just have to learn them. Something that well, first I'll tell you the mistake and then I'll tell you the tip. So the mistake would be I am good in math. Whenever we talk about school subjects, we say at, which really doesn't make sense. I am good at math. I'm good at English. I'm good at singing. Okay. Not in. So when we say that we're good at something, that's like a collocation. Good always goes with at, not good in. So sometimes you just have to memorize those collocations. But a handy tip that I would give to you guys when learning prepositions is Google preposition triangle. The preposition triangle is exactly what it sounds like. It's a triangle, a diagram, which shows you at, on, and in. And basically, on one side, it has all the prepositions of place, and on the other side, it has all the prepositions of time. And basically, it shows you the smallest section of the triangle is the smallest preposition, the most specific preposition. The second largest section of the triangle, I think it's actually like an upside down triangle. Second largest section is slightly larger, for example, days, months, years, those periods of time. And then the largest part of the triangle is the prepositions that are used in the largest amount of times or the largest places. So like years and cities and things like that. So I don't know if it's kind of hard to explain without actually using the diagram and showing you, but it's really helpful. It's just, I really like to visualize things when I'm learning. And if I can ever get like a diagram or some type of visual aid, I always find it really handy, really useful. Another handy tip is to create a list of common prepositions with example phrases and then review them regularly. A lot of people tell me, like, how am I ever going to learn all of the prepositions? You have to review them regularly. If you're just trying to learn them, like, randomly and then never looking at them again, you're not going to remember them. And also, I don't recommend learning like super long lists. Just learn a couple of prepositions at a time. And I mean like a couple of collocations of prepositions, so like things that go together. The same goes for phrasal verbs. I don't really think learning a whole bunch of phrasal verbs at the same time is very useful. I think you should try and break them down into context and make them a bit smaller. So, for example, just phrasal verbs with on or phrasal verbs with at it's kind of difficult to learn them like that. So I would say learn phrasal verbs in their context. So, like, learn phrasal verbs for restaurants, learn phrasal verbs for traveling. I think that makes more sense to learn it like that. But hey, to each their own. That means everyone can do it the way that they want to. Mistake number three is mispronunciation of sounds. So, mispronunciation is a huge hurdle, a huge challenge for many learners. And one of the most common pronunciation mistakes that I hear, and it spans across so many different languages. It doesn't matter if you're a Spanish native speaker or French or Russian, it doesn't matter. The TH, the th sound. So, for example, some people will say like tree instead of three, especially when you have that T and that R together, it can be hard. So, really practicing isolating that sound of and then practicing three, three instead of tree. A lot of people will just take the TH sound out completely, but you have to be really careful because we have words that sound similar, like tree and three are obviously different things, but if you're mispronouncing it, you might be misunderstood. So a good exercise to practice any pronunciation that you find tricky is in front of the mirror, looking at yourself, seeing how your lips and tongue are moving. It's really going to help you. So, in order to make this TH sound specifically, you place your tongue between your teeth and you blow out air gently. So, let's practice. We have our teeth together. Let's get our tongue involved. Okay, your tongue is now sticking out. If you're just listening on Spotify, this probably sounds really weird. But if you're watching the video on YouTube, it might be a bit more helpful. Okay, so the tongue is now in between my teeth. And now I'm just going to blow a little bit of air. Okay. And once we've done that a couple times, we can then try the words. Three, three. Okay. Hope that helps you. And I hope I didn't look too scary making that sound. Mistake number 4 is subject-verb agreement. This is a huge one. This is things like she like instead of she likes. Yeah, third person singular. We need to remember that S on the end. I like, you like, but she likes, he likes. Okay, so with this, another big mistake, she walked to school every day instead of she walks to school. It's weird because English, obviously, the way that the verbs go, it's hard because a lot of them don't have that S on the end, and then you have the S on the end just for third person singular. And it's hard to remember she, he, it walks, talks, looks. Because in Spanish, I know I always talk about Spanish, but that is my second language. Every single pronoun, the verb changes. So it's so much more clear who are we talking about because the verb form completely changes. But in English, we just like to overcomplicate everything. So an easy rule to remember is if the subject is singular, the verb usually ends in S or ES. Okay. And honestly, with this one, it's just a matter of practicing. There are loads of great exercises you can find online to help you practice subject-verb agreement. We're halfway there. Whoa, we're halfway there. Whoa, living out a prayer. You're welcome for that. I know that you really enjoyed it. Mistake number 5 is confusing similar words. Now, this is huge in English because we have so many words that look the same and sound the same, but they're not the same. So affect and effect. AFFECT and EFFECT. Okay. So, for example, the movie had a strong affect on me with an A is wrong because it should be the movie had a strong effect on me, effect with an E. Because effect with an A is usually a verb, and effect with an E is a noun, but they sound the same. That's the confusing part. So A effect is verb, E effect is noun. A great way to learn these weird, exceptions is flashcards. If you don't know what a flashcard is, or you've never heard of that term, it's literally a piece of little square of paper with writing on one side and writing on the other side. So you can quiz yourself like that. So yeah, creating flashcards with these words and their meanings, or the fact that one is a noun and one is a verb, can really help solidify their meanings in your head. Sorry, guys, I gotta take a little sip of water. I swear, today's just talk, talk, talking. I talk for like 4 to 5 hours every day with my students, and then I think, what would I like to do to relax and unwind? How about some more talking and recording videos? I need to stop complaining. I love my job. Okay, mistake number 6 is overusing simple sentences, especially when we get to higher levels. We really want to challenge ourselves to be using more complex sentence structure, more complex vocabulary, maybe some idioms, phrasal verbs, some slang if that's what you're into. Like, I know it's easy once you know that something is correct, you can start to solely only rely on that thing. But then your language gets repetitive and you get stuck at a basic level. So once you know how to say something correctly, bring it up a level. Look into how you can make it a little more interesting. Obviously, still correct, but you could add something to it to bring it up to a more native level or just a higher level of English. So, relying on simple sentences can also make your language, your English sound choppy. Choppy is like staccato when something is very like mm, mm, mm. in sections, kind of like, my name is Gemma. I am 27. I like pizza. Like, we can use some conjunctions and we can, make our language sound a little bit more interesting. So, for example, a conjunction would be, so if you say, I went to the store, full stop. I bought milk. You could say, firstly, I went to the store and then I bought some milk. You see how just by simply adding in some conjunctions, I've made that sentence sound a lot more interesting and a lot smoother. It flows better. That's it. It's as simple as that. So try combining your sentences, making complex sentences, and adding a variety of conjunctions to add some flow to your speech. And practice this by writing and then speaking. So, like, get a piece of paper, write out your thoughts, or like what you did today. I woke up at 7. I ate breakfast. I went to the gym. Just write a bunch of sentences and then try to combine them and make them sound more interesting. And then once you've written that, just read it out loud to yourself. And if you want to bring it one step further, record yourself and then listen back to it for any mistakes, or just to listen to your pronunciation and see how it flows and how it sounds. Because sometimes some things sound good in our heads, but then we say it out loud and we're like, yikes, that didn't sound so good. Kind of like this podcast. Sometimes I'm like, that's gonna sound cool. And then I watch these podcasts back to make sure that there's no audio errors and things like that. And sometimes I'm like, what are you even saying, Gemma? I hope today's episode is not like that for you guys. I feel a little bit out of it, to be honest. I feel very tired. So I hope I'm making sense. Sorry, that's my dog drinking water in the background. Let's all just wait for him to finish. He's so loud and he drinks for like, I swear, like 3 minutes. I'm like, sir, are you done? Why are you so thirsty? He's still going. Tank, that's enough water. Still going. Are you done? Are you done? Good boy. Oh no, he's not done. He's going in for round 2. Okay. We're just gonna have to continue with him being loud in the background. Sorry. He's so loud. Mistake number 7 is incorrect verb tenses. So, using the wrong verb tense can really confuse your listener. Obviously, if you're talking about yesterday and you say, yesterday I go to the gym, the person that's listening to you might be like, wait, when did you go to the gym? Because you just used the present simple to talk about the past. So, for example, yesterday I go to the park. Should be yesterday I went to the park, right? So sometimes drawing a timeline and then writing the tenses on them might help you make more sense of which tense to use when. That's something I often do with my students is draw timelines and put the tenses on them. And then again, it's just a matter of practice and getting comfortable with using each tense. Mistake number 8 is literal translations. So that means taking something from your native language and then translating it literally to English. So in Spanish, for example, the verb tener is used to talk about age. Tengo blah 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 años means I literally have this many years. So a lot of my students will say, I have 20 years. But in English, when we talk about age, we use the verb to be. So it should be, I am 20 years old. So once you get to a certain level, you should avoid translating directly from your language and start to think of English on its own rather than translating word for word. So don't think like, how do I say this in Spanish? And then how would I put it into English? Just think English, English, English. That takes practice, but it gets better over time. We're almost there. Mistake number 9 is using the wrong register. That means tone and intonation and going up and going down. So oh, sorry. That's not what register is. You guys, speaking of mistakes, even English teachers with 6 years of experience can make mistakes. Register has nothing to do with intonation and tonality. Sorry. Register is the difference between formal and informal language. So this can be embarrassing because you don't want to say, like, for example, hey, dude, what's up in a business meeting? You would want to say, hello, how are you today? So that's register, knowing when to use informal language and more formal language. So, to help you with this, always consider who your audience is, what context are you in, and then practice different scenarios. Think about, like, okay, I'm in a business meeting. What types of phrases can I use? And then think, okay, I'm at a restaurant with friends. What types of phrases and language can I use in that context? And then adjust your language appropriately because there's nothing more embarrassing than being too informal with someone or vice versa. I've had like students in the past call me ma'am before, and which is fine. Like there's nothing hugely wrong with that, but that's very formal to call someone ma'am. And it's not necessary to call your English teacher ma'am. You can just call me Gemma. So that's an example of using the wrong register. Okay, we're there. Mistake number 10 is very important. I think I've saved the most important for last. This is ignoring articles. Articles are a, an, and the. A and the. If you've studied articles before, you'll know that we have things called the indefinite article and the definite article. Indefinite means a or an, and it means like not specific. So, for example, I have a glass of water and I say to my friend, hey, can you get me a glass of water? I'm like, any glass of water, I don't care. And this is the first time I'm mentioning it. However, if I say to my friend, hey, can you get me the glass of water that's on the table? That's the definite article because I'm being specific and I'm mentioning an already existing object. So that is definite and indefinite, and these are called articles. So, for example, if you say, I saw movie at the weekend. That's wrong. We need to say, I saw a movie at the weekend because using a and a, I'm sorry, a and an are really important when we are introducing something for the first time. So we haven't talked about the movie yet, and we need to use a because it's the first time we're mentioning it. I saw a movie at the weekend, and then my friend says, "What movie did you see?" And then I say, "The movie was about blah, blah, blah." Now I can use the movie because we know that we've already talked about the movie previously. So we're using definite article because we're being specific. Okay. So that is articles in a nutshell, very quickly. So let's quickly recap the 10 common mistakes. We talked about incorrect word order, subject, verb, object, using the wrong prepositions, mispronunciation of sounds, subject, verb agreement, confusing similar words, overusing simple sentences, incorrect verb tenses, literal translations, using the wrong register, informal and formal, not anything about intonation. Sorry about that. And finally, ignoring articles. So, understanding and avoiding these top 10 mistakes is really going to help you because for me, as an English teacher, these are the most common that I see on a day-to-day basis. So, practice makes perfect. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. It's part of the learning process, right? It's not a big deal. But trying to find which mistakes you struggle with the most, pinpointing those mistakes, and then saying, okay, I'm going to make an effort to work on this and fix it. Okay, that's all you have to do. It's as simple as that. So I hope this video was helpful for you guys. Thank you again for watching. I apologize for being a little bit low energy today. Don't forget, if you are just watching on YouTube and you prefer audio only, or you want to listen a little bit earlier, I upload every Friday on Spotify. So you'll get an audio version of this video. And if you're on Spotify and you would like to see my beautiful face, you can check me out on my YouTube channel. I upload every Sunday. And another nice thing to do to practice a little bit more would be, for example, like watching the video first and then just listening to the audio and seeing if you can still understand me without seeing my mouth moving. So, using both types of media, like video and audio only, it's a really great way to practice and kind of take your listening skills to the next level. All right, guys, that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to follow the podcast and subscribe to my channel. Give me a thumbs up and comment. Let me know where you're watching from and if you found this video useful. Thanks, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.